what is going on, webheads? Roundaway here. And I've said this many times, but JoJo is one of my favorite series of all time, at least in my top 3. And for as little games as it has, it surprisingly has a good batting average when it comes to games. Most JoJo games actually being seen as like pretty good, which honestly is more than you could say for a lot of anime franchises, which just pump out games like nothing of varying qualities to say the least. JoJo actually has a pretty good amount of games and are pretty well known within the JoJo community. Of course, I like fighting games, and JoJo has no shortage of fighting games, and like I said, all of the fighting games JoJo's has is pretty good. From classics like the Capcom-made JoJo Heritage for the Future and CyberConnect 2's JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle. And All-Star Battle R, the remake of the game, which I'm especially fond of, and I talked about recently in a video of mine on underrated anime fighting games that aren't arena fighters. And yeah, that's to be mentioned because CyberConnect 2 isn't really known for their traditional fighting games. They're mainly known for stuff like Naruto Storm and other like arena fighters based on popular anime IPs, which I don't hate arena fighters. I like arena fighters quite a bit. Like, I'm not a super fan of them, but there are some like pretty decent, well-made arena fighters out there. And they do have their own competitive scene and merits, but I'm more of a traditional 2D fighting game guy. But for a company that doesn't really make those types of games, this is honestly a crazy surprise. While this game was a little janky in its first release and clearly more towards the arena fighter, more casual side of the fighting game scene, they certainly changed that with All-Star Battle R. This game was basically a complete overhaul of the fighting mechanics and system overall, with more additional characters and basically just an overall better version of the game, and was ported to modern consoles. Now, all this to mention that CyberConnect 2 actually didn't only just make All-Star Battle. I'd argue that All-Star Battle is the more popular and better, in my opinion, game, but it's not the only game that they made from JoJo's. That being JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Eyes of Heaven, which came out after All-Star Battle, but is still in some ways connected to it, which I'll get into later. So 2015. Now, actually, I have also quite a history with this game. Back when I was first getting into JoJo, probably around the time, maybe shortly after this game came out, I bought it on a whim because it was 20 bucks on the PlayStation Store, and I enjoyed it quite a bit at the time. Well, for what it was, I knew the game wasn't the best, but I mainly played it anyway because it was JoJo, and I didn't have a good enough PC to emulate All-Star Battle because the game was originally only for the PS3 a bit. But this game has major issues. I think CyberConnect 2 fumbled heavily with this game. Like, it's nowhere near as good as All-Star Battle in my opinion. I still don't think this game is completely like terrible or anything like that. This game has its own merits, and I'm basically going to get into why I think that this game is probably not the direction they should go for any future JoJo games, and why they should probably just make more games like All-Star Battle. Starting off with some of the positives and going into a little bit of the gameplay. This roster is actually like really big, and this is to be expected because CyberConnect 2's last JoJo game had a pretty big roster, but this roster is even bigger than the original All-Star Battle and contains a few more characters. And yeah, this amount of characters is pretty good for a game like this. It has no DLC characters. Like, all of these characters that you see right now are all base roster, so as soon as you buy this game, that you could just play all of them. Like All-Star Battle, they're all from every different part, from parts 1 through 8, and they actually have another part 8 character this time, unlike the original All-Star Battle. One thing that sets this game apart, you notice on the character select screen, you actually have to pick 2 characters. Yeah, this game is a tag team, like 2v2 game, meaning that like all 4 characters are fighting each other at the same time on teams. And I'll get into this more later because this isn't as cool as it sounds. But anyways, once you get into the game, the actual controls are pretty simple. There's light and heavy attacks, which you could chain them together for like little preset like combos and stuff like that. Also a sidestep button by pressing circle, that's basically just a dodge button. You could also lock on by pressing in an L3. So I'm actually kind of glad because a lot of these games for some reason don't have lock-ons like this. And there's also a dash button. Now this dash button is for traversal, but it also is used as like a little combo starter, as if you dash into somebody, they are in hit stun and you could actually do damage to them and start attacking. And how you actually do special moves in this game, it's pretty similar to most other arena fighters if you've ever played them, where you have to hold down a dedicated button and then press any one of like the face buttons to do a unique special move that every character has. And this game has cooldowns for them, so basically once you use it, you have to wait a little bit before you can use that move again. There are also EX moves, which are basically, there's 2 EX moves per character, and they're more powerful versions of your normal special moves, but they obviously take longer to come back to compensate for how much more damage they do. And yeah, the combat is pretty simple for the most part. There's not really anything flashy to it, and there's not many combos. You can do combos because certain special moves allow you to actually extend and give you time and more hit stun and stuff like that. But the game is kind of mindless, like there's not really much to it. If you are near a wall, you can stun people against the wall, like they'll splat against the wall, and that'll give you more opportunity to. There's also some moves that you could actually like jump cancel, surprisingly, and do a tiny air combo, and I mean like tiny, like only a couple hits. But yeah, this game, like it's very automated, like it doesn't really feel like you're doing much, and also the game weirdly plays like really sluggish. And some of that reason for it being really sluggish is that this game, for some reason, like the original All-Star Battle, runs at 30 FPS, like it's a locked 30 FPS. Now, I allegedly heard that some maps are 60 FPS, but I don't know how much that actually is true, but I don't get why this game is 30 FPS. Like, it literally makes no sense. This is not like a super intensive game or anything. At least you could give the old OG All-Star Battle the credit of it was a PS3 game, so you could argue that, but this sucks. Like, it doesn't feel good. I feel like if this game was 60 FPS and maybe got like a re-release like All-Star Battle did, it would just be way better. I think that's my main issue, is that it runs like ass. Now, I don't usually care about FPS, but I feel like for this type of game, like it feels like you're just like swinging at nothing sometimes, and like your attacks don't even land. The actual like moment to moment is super awkward. Like once you actually get hits in, it's kind of fun, but like trying to get the hits is like miserable. Characters are also unique in this game because they're separated by fighting style. Now, obviously, there are characters that don't have stands and stuff like that, hormone users and other things like that, but there's also characters that, like, there's advantages and disadvantages to certain characters. Like, vampire characters, you can't play on certain maps with them, like any map in the daytime just locks you out of it. Like, you can't play that map, and also you take more damage to hormone users, which All-Star Battle had, but it wasn't really that big of a deal, and in this game it isn't either. The arenas are also unique because they have like little knickknacks and gimmicks in them. Like, some of them, they have like little objects you could pick up, or you could set traps to like detonate and attack the opponent. Specifically on Mario, there's also this little tea shop that you could go to, which is pretty funny, and you could gain some of your health back. So yeah, this game plays kind of like Anarchy Reigns a little bit, except not as fun, obviously, in that fact of like the arenas are actually different. And also on the map, like the Cairo rooftops, you can actually knock people down, and it does do quite a bit of damage, but you can also fall off yourself. A few more gameplay mechanics this game has is the dual combo mode, which I don't really know how this activates. I think it just happens like randomly or by doing enough damage. You'll enter this like mode that you can go into where you'll start posing, and if your other teammate activates it, dual combo mode begins. And basically it's just when you fill up the bar of meter by just doing more damage, you'll basically do like a cinematic like little combo that does like a big chunk of damage to like one opponent. And the main thing that this game is known for, the dual heat attacks, are basically the reason why there's actually teammates in this game. If you put up special pairings of characters, you'll get like a special cinematic where they'll do like a reference to the show and like a big team up attack. Now, this isn't just actually for characters that already know each other. Like, you could have like crossover assist, like Dio and like Giorno, and Dio and part 1 Dio. And basically there's like a bunch of different character combinations of like both characters that you would expect and characters that like have never met each other before but have something to do in common. And these are probably some of the best things about the game, like visually. I didn't really talk about the visuals, but most people know about this game from the visuals of these like cinematic supers, and they're really good. Like, you can find them all over YouTube of different compilations and stuff of them. But the game overall looks all right. It has a little bit too much bloom for some reason, and I'd argue this game slightly looks worse than All-Star Battle. It's the same like engine, but they changed the models a little bit, but I feel like they lost some of the art style of All-Star Battle. I don't know if you know what I mean. Try to put up an example of what I'm talking about with it. There's also normal supers for if you just have two unrelated characters, well, they'll just both do their own supers. And you're probably wondering, can I tag into my partner? You know, usually with these types of games, you could just have or like swap between like which character you're actually playing as. But nope, if you're playing solo, your partner is completely controlled by the AI. And yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know why it's like that. Like it should be able to just like, you know, swap between them. And when your partner dies, you actually enter this mode called Soul Succession, which basically whenever your partner dies, you get like a power up. Basically you get like passive health regen and armor on your moves, and you do more damage. It's basically like a comeback mechanic because it's basically going to be a 2v1 at this point. There's also weird glitch that happens where sometimes you'll activate it twice in a row, which is fucked up because it just restarts it over, making fights even longer than they already are in this game. Now you're probably wondering, this game is like advertised as a 2v2 game, so you're probably gonna be like, okay, well, it's weird that the AI controls your teammate, but at least you could do local 2v2, right? Like have like 4 people playing simultaneously. No, this game for some reason, even though it should be able to, does not have local multiplayer. Like you can't do split screen at all. Even if it's like split screen against the AI, no, you can only fight against the AI in this game locally, which is really dumb. Like you would think that that would be the main gimmick, is like having 4 people playing split screen with this game. I feel like that would be really sick, but for some reason they just didn't implement that, which that's just mind-boggling to me. I don't understand that at all. And it really kind of takes away from the game, like lowering the single-player content. There's also no difficulty option for the CPU, which is kind of a problem because randomly the CPU decides to be locked the fuck in and like destroy you, or be like the easiest thing known to man. Like there's literally no in-between, which is super weird. The only thing you can adjust is the time limit, which, what the fuck? Like, why? However, I do want to mention about the multiplayer thing. This game does have online multiplayer, and yeah, you actually can just either do 1v1s with an AI controlled teammate, or you could have 4-player online, which that's good at least, but why is that not in the actual local multiplayer? Like, I feel like every fighting game should have it, especially with this game where the main selling point is 2v2. By the way, if you're wondering how the online is, I've actually played it with my friend like previously. The footage you're seeing right now is not from me, like this is from YouTube, because this game online, obviously, it's pretty dead, and the reason for that is most likely not just because this game is not that popular amongst JoJo fans, but the online is terrible in this game. Like, it still has that old CyberConnect 2 netcode where it's like extremely laggy. Literally, the footage I'm gonna use in this video is of the game lagging. Like, the netcode is complete buns in this game. Sucks, because if the online was actually decent, it wouldn't be that bad. And I mean, when I played it with my friend, it was like not the greatest, but it was still playable. But like, obviously, if you're probably playing 2v2, it's gonna be more laggy. So I'm pretty sure this game is regional locked too. Not that having the servers be more open would help with the connection. The single player options in this game are also quite limited. Like, there's barely anything to do besides just fight the CPU. There is a watch mode, basically, where you can just have 2 CPUs fight each other, which, I mean, that's cool, that's in there. I think most fighting games should have a watch mode, but like, that's not a selling point for this game. That should be a mainly multiplayer focused game. This game actually does have a lot of unlockable content, which is to be expected from CC2, especially with All-Star Battle. All-Star Battle has a lot of it, and it's a lot of the same things. It's a lot of costumes and gallery footage and stuff like that, like things for you to look at, or like different skins and like voice lines and stuff for characters, which is pretty cool. And there's more than there was in All-Star Battle, but mainly you just get it from fighting, and the fighting is not that fun. So overall, you're just grinding for nothing, especially with the online. So it's basically just for completionists at this point, I guess. But like, do you want to go out of your way to complete this game? Probably not. Honestly, the best thing about this game is that most of the characters got ported back into All-Star Battle R when that game re-released. However, funny enough, the costumes didn't. Like, they didn't add the costumes that were added into Eyes of Heaven back into All-Star Battle for some reason. Now, one last thing I want to quickly talk about. I'm not going to go fully into it because there are probably other better videos, and honestly, if you do want to see me fully talk about this, I'll actually, like, go through it. But this game has one other thing. The main single-player content. I said there was none, but there actually is. There's a story mode in this game, a fully cinematic story mode, but it's really not that good, and it's kind of boring. Basically, the whole plot of the game is like, what if Dio actually did win and obtain heaven, and he gets this like Heaven Ascension Dio form that's literally like the most broken stand in the whole series. It literally beats GER like canonically in the game. Basically, to stop it, they need to gather the corpse parts like every Joestar and Speedwagon for some reason. He's just kind of there because of course he is. They need to gain these corpse parts from part 7 to basically take him down or whatever. And yeah, this is basically just some like super omega fanfiction thing. Now, Araki was actually semi a part of the story. Like, he didn't write it, but like he apparently like approved of it and was like watching over it or something. But the story, I'm pretty sure, was just made by CyberConnect 2. Yeah, this game really, all it has is just character interactions, which, yeah, that's the whole game. This game is way more fan servicey than All-Star Battle, which is a very fan servicey game, but it at least has like actual fun gameplay to go alongside it. This game was rough. I would like to see this game ported just so more people can play it, and hopefully they do an All-Star Battle R thing where they actually add more characters and stuff like that. Maybe some Part 9 characters. Fix the frame rate so that it's like actually playable. Like, if this game fixed the frame rate and maybe just added more single player content to do and, you know, real local multiplayer, I think this game could have been good, but this game really felt like more of a cash grab. Coming out only 2 years after the original All-Star Battle. But yeah, let me know what you think of this game, if you like it or not, or what you think could have been better about it, and see ya.
He can see and he can feel without one touch. It seems unreal, but it's true.